One of a Kind with Rob Van Dam is recorded in front of a live studio audience.
Yo, what's up, guys? It's Dominic D'Angelo, and wanted to give you a little update on this week's episode. It's a very special episode. Rob and I were unable to record because we are both in Cleveland, Ohio for SummerSlam. He was doing WrestleCon, and I was on the beat. How was that, WrestleCon? I was also at the SummerSlam, and got some interviews and everything like that. So I got to speak with Jade Cargill, Gunther, Drew McIntyre, and Braun Breaker. So if you want to see those interviews, you can go to I almost said One of a Kind. You can go to onetruesporttv.com and check them out. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share. And if you like what you're seeing on One of a Kind with RVD, we got RVD merch at onetruesport.com. Exclusive merch of him, Fonzie, and Sabu. So definitely go to there, take a look, see what you like. We got some really, really cool stuff there. But in particular, this episode today, something that is a favorite part of my thing about doing this podcast is hearing Rob's RVDologies. He really wanted to do these when we started the podcast, and I got to watch some of them that he had on his YouTube channel. And so we always try to make an effort to give you something at the end of every show. Rob gives you a little bit of insight, perspective that kind of helps you throughout the week, and maybe gives you a different way to think about things moving forward. And I put together some of our best ones. You'll get some very poignant ones. You'll also get some very funny ones. You also get some really heart-touching ones in this episode. So Rob covers some aspects like, I believe uncertainty is one I have in here. No, not uncertainty. I have regret is a very big one. Fighting. And then not taking it personally. That's a very, very good one. And then we cover there's a good one we close out with, and it involves a story with Scott Norton. That's the very last one. So guys, enjoy this. This is such a cool part of what One of a Kind is all about, and I hope you get a little insight. Please give me feedback on this episode. I put together, I think there's probably about 4 or 5 clips in here that you guys can enjoy and really take some thinking with it. Tell me what you learned from it too. These were really, really good episodes. Regret, probably the most powerful one Rob's done yet so far, and you'll know why once you hear it. So, or watch it. So if you're watching on rvdtv.com, get the word out. Tell people about subscribing to rvdtv.com. We're going to do some giveaways here. I got Rob to sign some stuff, so it'll be pretty cool to kind of get a little bit more of a fan base going here, and more clips to come up here. I'm changing the strategy on this channel. I want to make it really big time for Rob and I, and keep this baby cooking. Make that Van Dam family grow, baby. So enjoy this episode. RVDology is such a big part of the show, and I'm happy to have these ones for you this week. Like, subscribe, give us 5 stars on Spotify or iTunes, and get the word out about us. All right, guys, enjoy. This is a fun one.
No way. No how.
Look how big my head is next to yours. Your head is like...
That's because I'm farther back.
All right. So I hope everybody enjoyed the show. Before we leave for the week, and see you next week, I'm going to drop a couple words to you about boundaries. It's a good subject. It's one of my values. So if you're into RVDology, dude, you got to set yourself up with a good set of values, because it's your set of values that you use when you choose what you believe. What? Think about it. Do you choose what you believe, or do you not really have a choice? You just believe it because the facts translated in your head tells you this is the truth. Think about that, because I think that we'll get some different answers. Damn, I just broke my doobie. I need to put a crutch on it. I think there'll be some different answers though, because sometimes you might catch yourself saying, I choose to not believe. But really, I don't know if it's a choice so much. If you say, this guy, boom, boom, boom. Okay, you heard him. Do you believe him? If someone's like, well, I mean, I kind of believe him. I don't think it's a choice. I think it's their values, their concept of how everything works, the way they translated the facts and everything they heard. They either believe that what the guy said is true or it's bullshit or whatever. And so you set your boundaries also on that as well. And here's the thing with boundaries, okay? Some people don't have any boundaries, and that's fine. Like maybe physical boundaries are easy to see because you have a big stone wall that separates your yard from the next person's wall. If that person comes over the wall and he's in your yard, then obviously, hey man, you've crossed some boundaries here. You don't belong here. That's easy. But what about boundaries that have to do with just you being comfortable and your boundaries? And even like with conversation, like it's something that I believe is good to know about yourself, because you can keep yourself from being disappointed in yourself. Sometimes you might be around some friends, right? And they might want to start asking, all right, here's an example. Let's say you're a dude, and let's say you really, really like this girl, and you go out with her, things are hitting off. You're like, oh my gosh, she is so cool. I love her so much. And then the next day you're hanging out with your buddies, and they're like, hey man, what happened last night? And you're like, oh man, we had a good time, so we whatever. And then they're like, yeah, did you fuck her? Now, sometimes that can make somebody feel uncomfortable because they're like, now if I answer that, I feel like I'm talking down or low about someone that I respect. I feel like I'm talking disrespectful about somebody that I respect. I feel like I'm betraying somebody by sharing information. You get where I'm coming from? A lot of people aren't prepared for that, and they'll be like, yeah, I want to talk about that. Whatever. They can get really awkward, uncomfortable. I'm here today to give all of you permission to have your own boundaries. And when something conversational hits the alarm that tells you your boundaries are being close to being compromised, here's something you can say. Boundaries, dude. Just like that.
Or it's personal.
You could say it too. Yeah, same damn thing. Like Dango back in the day used to have a girlfriend, and Tom was our older evil mentor, and he did that exact thing. Dango and Julie were really hitting it off. In fact, Dango decided not to go on the road with us for Tennessee because he wanted to spend time. He missed his girl, didn't like being on the road away from her and stuff like that. And Tom, specifically to try to desensitize him, would be like, what, is she that great of a fuck? I mean, what, how's her pussy? You don't want to hear someone talk like that. But guys will do that. Guys talk around each other like that. And when they do that, it's like they're almost trying to force a bond that you're not comfortable with. You don't want to be on those terms with that person, but it's awkward. So it's good to know ahead of time, because Tom, for instance, would say that exact same thing and make Dango feel uncomfortable. And even early on, he'd be like, what, you think she's the only one with a pussy? There's all kinds of girls out there, and put you in an awkward. There's a few different things that I find that people will get personal about and make you feel this way. One of them is sex, which I'll tell you, RVDology is something that I learned over many years, and am still learning. But the last several years, meaning the last 5, the last 10, whatever, I feel way more intelligent and knowing than I was before. And that still continues to grow as I go on. I know more. I got a bigger idea of the bigger picture. But even way back when I was a kid, I hated stuff like that. I hated, trying to fit in. I hated that I was supposed to talk about stuff just because the other boys talked about it, and supposed to do things just because the other boys did. And when I was a virgin, I didn't even tell anybody, even my best friends. When I wasn't a virgin, I didn't tell anybody then either.
You still are.
Yeah, I really felt like I didn't want to know them that way. I don't want them to know that about me. I don't want to be on that level, that relationship with them. And sometimes they won't understand. So what? So-and-so said, what about you? What about you? What about you? Come on. Then it's peer pressure, because it's like, well, we're all talking about it, and then sometimes, you got to say, well, you guys can all show each other your dicks too, but I'm gonna go find something else to do. Fuck you guys. So I'm giving you, permission to have boundaries, so you don't feel like you betrayed yourself by talking about stuff that you don't. When it comes to money, sometimes people come right out and just ask, hey, what kind of money do you make, doing such and such? And on the other side, a lot of people offer that up too, and even that's awkward. I have people do that all the time. Like I'll be talking to someone, and I'll be like, "Yeah, I manage the building down there, and it's pretty good. I got health insurance, and work 5 days a week. I enjoy it. Can't retire for a while, but it gets me $60,000 a year." And there'll be like some awkward silence. And I'll be like, "I mean, that's good for me." As if now all of a sudden they're trying to compare and imagine, like how that translated to me. It's like, dude, TMI, if you really want to share that, fine. I don't know what kind of response you're expecting, but pretty much for me, I'm just going to let that roll over my shoulder. I'm not going to say anything about the amount or what I think about the amount. I might just say, hey, good for you. Good job. So something to that effect. This or not.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's money and there's sex, and sometimes your boundaries are written out for you. Like say you're in the mafia, right? Well, those guys come first. You're not allowed to have anything too personal for your peers there. And that's called omerta. That's their secret code. So if I'm in the mafia, if I'm an actual member and I'm hanging out right now and my wife and I are about to go to bed, but I get a phone call, and if they say, hey, what are you doing? And if I nothing, if they want to know, exactly what I did or what I'm going to do or whatever, you have a meeting and you hold anything out from them, it could cause you death. Especially about money, because they're part of that. So they want to know, what'd you pull in from that gas station scam, and what'd you do with it, and boom, where's my cut? So all that stuff, they come first. In wrestling, it's kayfabe. That was our omerta, and it used to be like that when it was like a good old boys behind closed doors. You used to have to adhere towards certain fraternity-like rules. If you were in the wrestling business in the 70s and you didn't, and you had naked pictures of your girlfriend or wife that you didn't want to share, they'd kick you out of the dressing room. Wow. That's the way that it was. They came first. It was the boys. If you started I can't tell you how many times I saw this when I was really young getting in. Someone that dates a girl, maybe it's a groupie that all the other guys know, or maybe they all see her for the first time together. But either way, if that person gets feelings and gets upset when one of the other guys wants to talk to that girl, that wasn't allowed. You were called a fence builder.
Wow.
No building fences, if you do, you're not one of the boys. Stuff like that in the real world, I say, fuck that. have your own boundaries so that you're comfortable with yourself, and you can do a whole interview on the radio, and then afterwards you can say, man, I'm glad that I didn't answer that question or that question, because sometimes you open up and it's something you got to learn, like we all do. When I first started dating Katie, hey baby,
Yeah, baby.
this is for you to hear.
Okay.
We're going home with this one.
Okay.
When I first started dating Katie, I, for some reason, talked to Johnny Stramboli,
Oh
Johnny, Johnny the Bull.
yeah.
I guess he must have called me, which isn't the strangest thing in the world, but it's next to the strangest thing in the world.
Okay.
Like, he lived in Phoenix, in Arizona, and when I would go to wrestle or appear in Arizona, sometimes I would call Velvenis or Navajo Warrior, and I think they would send him, so I got to know him like that. But we don't normally talk. But when I started dating Katie, I guess he must have called. I talked to him, and he was saying that he knew her and stuff. And he says, "Man, one thing I always wanted to know: how's that ass feel?"
They don't even know each other.
What?
Oh my God.
He did it. What?
So,
What did you answer?
right. So, man, I wonder what I did answer. Whatever it was a non-answer answer. I didn't want to just try to seem cool, and that's the thing. People feel obligated, just to be like, yeah, good. Or, people feel obligated to respond all the time in places where I don't. Just like if someone said, "Oh, you know how much money?" Or probably was sent like in quarters or something, right? A lot of people would be like, "Oh, probably like what? What did you just pull out of my mouth?" Like a lot of people I catch doing that, and that might be like a whole nother day to spend to pull that kind of strength in the defense system up. But whatever my answer was, maybe I said, I haven't really felt it, or because I probably hadn't. It was. I don't know. It was. I probably said I don't know or something to that effect, and it wasn't something that like I would hold against him. Like I love Johnny the Bull, good dude, but it did stick out as like, wow, like he knows I'm dating her and he feels comfortable enough with me to ask me something like that. Like, wow, like does he think that he and I are that close, or the dudes just feel that close with each other when they subscribe to the bro code, which I think is the deal in a lot of places. But either way, I'm here to tell you it's okay to have your own set of boundaries where you're comfortable talking, and if someone gets to a point where you don't want to talk, be it money, be it even personal feelings sometimes, you know what I mean? Like, someone could just be like, "Hey, how did you feel like when you saw that scene in that Von Erich movie, and it related to your life and your brother or something like that?" You could be like, "I don't really want to talk about that," or "That's too personal," or "Kind of crossing the boundary with me there." Or "Fuck off, dude." How about that? Or you can answer it, but that's the thing, is you have the choice. Don't ever think you don't have the choice. I'm giving you the right to have your own boundaries for people asking you questions, and also when you talk to other people too. Think about that. There's a lot of questions that I don't want to ask anybody else. One, because I really don't want to know the answer, and two, because I feel like it crosses the boundaries of how reasonable adults should talk to each other. So that's what I want you to think about till next week. So happy fucking January till then.
What's up, guys? Just wanted to take a little pause to talk to you about Via. Now, Via is such a cool kind of sponsor to have, especially for RVD podcast, because it's got all the kind of relaxing or focus stuff that you kind of need when it comes to like giving you a little bit of boost of energy, or hey, a little bit of time to chill out and take it easy. Via comes in different kind of gummies and stuff like that. My personal favorite right now is the Flow State. The flow state is very good. It's got lion's mane in there, which I've been a big proponent of recently, and it's just CBD and really, really good stuff. I kind of gets me right in the zone too, whether I'm doing the podcast or whether I'm doing some other extra work when it comes to the pro wrestling business. So covering the news and what have you. So very much like Via. It's such a cool packaging. There's so many different ones that they have in here. I'm looking at my box right now. They got High Love, Cloud 9, Dreams, Revive, Elevate, and Zen. And it kind of tailors to what you are kind of looking for when it comes to like, hey, this is something I kind of want to get into and take a look and see what it does for me. And so far, I'm very pleased with the results. And yeah, my go-to though right now, the flow state, baby. So give it a try. Use promo code RVD and check out Via. It's a great product. We're happy to have them as a sponsor on the podcast. It's time to wrap it up. Let's do RVDology with Mr. Rob Van Dam here.
Yeah, I did. Did an RVDology episode on my YouTube page, which has gotten like a whopping 27 views. So, but the sound was fucked up on it too, so it's probably a pain in the ass to listen to, and most people probably turn it off. But anyway, the gist of that was, and Tim, I probably talked to you sometime over the last 4 years about this scumbag that was trying to shake me down, picked a fight with me, didn't like the results. Finally ended in a jury trial in my favor just last week. So that's really good news for me. One of the things that I learned a lot. One of the things though that's worth conversation, his lawyer, he seemed like a fan, and like he didn't want me to not like him, want me to like him. But he'd even say in between, he'd be like, like when we're, let's say, commercial break, for lack of a better term, he'd be like, yeah, I'm just doing my job, don't take it personally, just doing our job. And I'd be like, yeah, well, whatever, dude. And then we'd be back on and be like, RVD is a known murderer, terrorist, rapist, and he has anger issues, and he's not cool, and so yeah, I know, no problem, bro. But he would say, don't take it personal. And it's like, how do you not take that? Because that's how it felt like, the attack, everything that he was accusing me of that I wasn't. And that was exaggerating a little bit there. But you know what? That's one of the 4 agreements. You don't take it personally. And you know what? The more you can really get behind that and feel that, the better off you'll be, like just going about your day. Now, something like this is pretty personal because the guy is legitimately trying to steal my life and take everything from me and basically just, move into my life. So that's pretty damn personal, maybe about as personal as it gets. But overall, we take a lot of things personally when we really shouldn't, sometimes we get in arguments with people and we're so offended that they would say that, or they would do that, or they would believe this other person over you, or not even bother asking you and just assume this. Boom, we cut them off. If you really cared about that relationship, I don't know that you would cut them off. Like, what kind of ego anchor is it that's keeping that gate closed if you wanted it to be open? One of my friends last year, his wife came out to Vegas, and for some reason, we were going to try and get together, me and Katie, with her. Weren't able to do it, whatever reason or whatever. Man, he was so offended, took it so personally, and he was done. He was just like, I can't believe the way you disrespected her when she was out there, and boom, boom, boom. I didn't take that personally. He's telling me all this shit on the phone, and I'm like, I've known this guy too long. I'm gonna go ahead and give him a pass on this, and I did, and that was it. Eventually, he came around, and he's like, man, I'm sorry, I was going through this and that. I'm like, don't worry about it. Our friendship means more than that. No, not everybody. Some people they say something and it's like, they don't get a pass. Sometimes someone will get a pass, but then if they bring it up again later and go back to the exact same thing, well, then it becomes real. Then it wasn't a mistake or an oversight. I've cut off a lot of crazy friends. I say cut off, but let's just say disconnected from. And one of them that comes to mind, this motherfucker, let's say he owed me money, didn't pay money. Much later, a misunderstanding, this and that, blah, blah, blah. But then when we fight, he brings it up again about, boom, I knew back then, boom, boom, boom. Well, I'm done then, because now you either are legitimately pissed about something that is part of me that I'm cool with, you know what I mean? Like, you don't want to, that could be anything. Or it's just not worth it. But as far as taking things personally, in the Four Agreements, if you know what I'm talking about, that's a book, and I bring it up a lot because it's awesome. I also just saw Michael Franzese and Chaz Palminteri. They did an episode talking about it too, so I thought that was really cool. But it's easy to take things personally, but if you try to consciously not let yourself do that because you know that you shouldn't, it's better to just shrug it off. You know what I mean? Like somebody comes zooming by you, your car, you're on the road, they come by you. Maybe they're a little too close to you. They're going too fast. So many people automatically will just take that personally. Like, hey, look at this motherfucker. Why is he in such a fucking hurry? And it's like, you know what? They'll take it personally. There's something going on with that guy, and you don't know what it is. Maybe he is in a hurry. Maybe he's got a legitimate excuse. And if he doesn't, that's his risk. What if he did just pass you on the right side in the grass? Why the fuck are you going to be personally offended by that? That motherfucker took the chance. If he hits either a rock or a well or gets pulled over or whatever, that's on him. He took that chance. I feel that way about drivers whenever they zoom by me or whatever. It's like his choice. I could do that if I wanted. I don't get why other people don't, but they take it personally because they feel like, well, I have to stand here and wait in line, so should everybody else. But not really. If there's 4 lanes, and you can get anywhere that you want to go, So I had a comic book store. Everybody knows this. It wasn't a successful business venture overall. It was something that was introduced to me first, put my name on it, or be a silent investor first, then put my name on it. Then why not get behind it and then really push it, do whatever I can. I had a lot of fun with the store. It was open about 3 years at 2 different locations at different times. And I had a lot of wrestlers help me out. They signed autographs, took pictures at my store, other celebrities too. But as a business owner, I sucked. I never opened the cash register once. I trusted everybody, kids that were working for me to get everything done. I had one guy that managed my store, and this guy ended up becoming a problem. Some of the other employees told me one time that this dude is talking to some of the children they're a little too young. And they mentioned this one girl that used to ride her bike to the store, and they said they caught him getting her phone number. They're weirded out. What should we do about it? So, holy shit. I don't have any experience dealing with any of this shit. Don't even have as much life experience back then. This was so long ago. What was this, 2007? Was it before I injured my leg? Sometime around then, I guess, 2004. Anyway, I have the pictures to prove it. All the wrestlers that were there. I get him by himself and I question him. And he tells me that he actually needs me to know that I might be notified he's in a little trouble. Has something to do with some stuff that was found on his computer. I dive into the conversation a little further. This motherfucker starts telling me about some of his issues. You guessed it. He's into children running my store. You don't know what's going on with other people. You really don't. And I wouldn't have had a clue. Now, he told me that it was all in his head. He wanted to get help. He said he hadn't touched or gotten with anyone underage. And of course, boom, automatically you're gone. I couldn't just leave it at that. I had to follow up. I felt like I got to get this guy, Hub. What am I doing? Letting this guy out on the streets? He's going to, you know what he's going to do. And I kept checking back with him for the longest time. You know, and he was telling me there's help for the abused, not for the potential abuser. He said it was like so hard to find anyone. And I remember looking. It was a really weird and dark time. But as I shared the story with a few people, some people told me I'd bust that motherfucker right in his mouth. I would have beat the shit out of him. Now, how do they take that personally? What's going on in this dude's mind? I wonder how some of you feel about that. But when you think about it, it doesn't make sense. It didn't to me. I didn't take it personally. I mean, listen, this guy's representing me and my name. That is very much a potential problem. I can take that personally. But I believed him that at that point that we got it fixed before it became an issue. Again, if anyone, maybe me, but for other people just to hear it, they get offended. They take it personally. It's one of those crimes, even worse than you never hit a woman no matter what, or there's never a good reason or whatever. You know, this is one of the ones where people want to kill pedophiles. And now maybe he is. I don't know. I haven't talked to him in years. I don't want to. Am I obligated to? Fuck no. But that whole experience, like, I started talking. I told a few more people than I should have, probably. He should have taken that personally, I guess. Or maybe realized where the problem really lies and try and find it at the source. But remember this, dude. I didn't take it personally. I don't think I should have. Do you? I mean, this guy's telling me, like, boom, he's leaving, he's quitting, handing over his keys, saying, I got a problem that's progressing just from watching it. I'm so glad that that my wires aren't twisted and fucked up in such a way, as judgmental as that sounds. If you don't agree with me, you're going to be judged against too. That's pretty crazy, huh? You think we all know right from wrong? He seemed to know what he was doing was wrong, and that meant a lot. His future, whatever he does and chooses the rest of his life, I don't take that personally as if any of that is on me just because I knew this little thing about him. A lot of people would react differently, but keep in mind, like, a lot of times if instead of taking it personally, if you think it's the other person, some drunk guy screams at you on the sidewalk, "Hey, motherfucker!" You know what? You could be offended, like he said some shit to me, or you could just be like, you know what? There's something wrong with that guy. Go with the second, and a lot of times in life you can do that just to try and apply that. If I didn't take this personally, it's on him. You don't know what someone else is going through. You really don't. And even if you think you do, you only know part of it. So that's what I want to leave you with. Try and keep that in mind. Just like always, don't freak out about reprogramming yourself. If you're just aware of it and you just think towards it, recognize it, boom, it'll become bigger in your life. Don't take it personally. See you next week.
Yo, Rob, we're going to take a quick time out just to say that this week's episode of One of a Kind with RVD is presented by Get Blitzed. Get Blitzed Lit Aid Nano Infused THC Syrup is a premium cannabis infused syrup formulated with nanotechnology for fast acting effects. And that advanced nanotechnology formulation allows for quicker onset and enhanced potency compared to regular THC syrup. It's Delta 9 and legal in all 50 states, every single one. And you have several syrups to choose from Blue Raz to key lime pie to pina colada to tiger's blood to cherry to grape. Just head to get-blitz.com, use promo code RVD, and get 15% off your whole order. Could be a bottle, could be a bundle, your choice. But yes, head to get-blitz.com, use promo code RVD, and it is by Mickey Ray Sinatra and Courtney. Take a look. Head to get-blitz.com, promo code RVD, get 15% off. It's one of a kind, baby.
Well, Rob, what do you got for us in the RVDology department this week, huh?
All right. Yeah, so I'll talk at you for a minute. I know that I am well heard. Just looking through some of the comments as well. Always enjoy talking with you people. So this is wait, can you? Oh yeah, whoa, man, I'm so far behind on comments. What did you say?
Oh, I thought you needed something.
Oh no, I'm reading through, and I always think like I'm at the other end of the list, like I'm almost to the end of it because I've been kind of scrolling a little here and there, and then I realize I'm still at the beginning, and there's like 2 hours of people, but. Okay, well, anyway, this is just something that I just thought was worth sharing with you. Something to keep in mind. It's a value that I believe in, a way to be. I think that people are so ready to go off, and it's a position where they're just waiting for something to happen. They're prepared so much they want it to happen. Therein lies potential for some really bad shit to go down. I remember one time when I was, probably, let's say high school. I used to hang out with Eric Peterson, the kid across the street, and his older brother, Mark, was someone that at this time I was having problems with. I wanted to fight him. I was at that stupid age, trying to feel more powerful by having someone scared of me. Like I remember, well, let me get there. For some reason, I was going to fight. And it was Mark. And anyway, I remember hanging up my pillow in my doorway and practicing punching it with intention and with a certain movement so that I could be ready, kind of thing where like I'm not really facing it. Bam, like what? Bam, turning my shoulder into it, kind of like a surprise, like working on the power speed. I did that so much. I had myself like so ready. I was just like, just boom, let Mark do something and let him fucking come at me right now. Let him push me like he did last time or whatever it was. Had myself ready, geared, ready to go. I'm playing basketball with Eric, and something happened where we ran into each other while we're shooting. I think maybe he pushed me or something. I don't know. But I gave him that punch before I even knew what was happening. I just had myself like so geared up to throw it and so predetermined to recognize when I was going to be in that situation. Bam, I hit him right between his eyes, broke his glasses, hit him right in the nose, which doesn't feel good. Of course, he's pissed, um, and then he wanted to fight. And then for me, this was an issue because before I had the power trip on him where, he wouldn't have wanted to, he fed my ego before that and acted like we both knew he wouldn't want to fight me because I would beat him up. Stupid mind games. But I remember after, no, this ain't cool. I don't want to fight you, man. We got the fort together in the backyard. We gotta be friends. We can't fight, man. I didn't want nothing to do with fighting him, and he was pissed and he was ready to fight. I remember being at his house, like maybe the next day or something, and talking with his mom about it. And I just remember even saying, like, no, Eric knows he doesn't want to fight me. And his mom, I feel like she called me out for being that punk a lot of times. When I think about it, I think back to, like, she was on to me being full of shit and sticking up for her kids. And she said, I think Eric could take you. And all of a sudden my ego was like, what? And she was like, yeah, I think he'd be able to take you. And I said, Eric knows better. And then Eric got brave from his mom saying that. So I don't know, man. I think maybe I could take you. And I just remember like that crushing me, coming down on me like, oh no, now I might have to actually prove something, and it's crazy how like just having that power over somebody, feeling like you have them in a position, how that can feed your fucking ego. And you might not realize it at the time, but you're being an asshole to the cop, to the teacher, to the authoritative figure that tells the person that's arguing with them, anytime, you think you're going to go up against me, I'll tell you what, you're going to find that you're going to lose every single time. You got it? Hey, you're being an asshole. You're telling me you're never, ever wrong? Whoever goes up against you, no, you're doing a power trip. You're trying to put them in your place. You're trying to make yourself feel validated as a superior at their expense. And that's really what's going on there. I talked about this night one time on an RVDology episode when I was in Savannah, Georgia. A little older now. Now I'm 23, 24, still a punk. In fact, I got a tank top on. I'm walking around feeling like I'm all big in a crowded bar, which of course is asking for trouble. Some trouble happens. And I ended up getting jumped. I guess I won't tell the whole story here, but because I've already told it. But the lesson that I learned there was to put my gloves back up and get ready for the next one because there's another one coming because shit ain't over. Because there was a bunch of people. It was really crowded. There was an altercation. We were all watching it. And then one guy came over to me and got in my face. He goes, what the hell was that? What happened? And then and he was setting me up. I didn't know, but his buddy that's behind him reached around and smacked me across the face. Here I said I wasn't going to tell the whole thing. But basically, that's what happened. I grabbed this guy by the shoulders, and I threw a beautiful round kick. Bam! That fucking knocked the guy down. Anyway, the next night, I went out looking for them, and I had gone to the martial arts store at the flea market and gotten this spiked shoe cover that you could, it's like a plate that over the top of your foot, over your shoe, you put it in with your shoelaces, and your shoelaces will hold it in, and it's got spikes on it. And I was looking for that motherfucker because I want to hit him with that exact same beautiful round kick that knocked him off his feet, but this time I wanted to stick it in his head, right? And I was ready to do it. Of course, we didn't run into them. We looked for them. Me and my buddy didn't see them anywhere that night. And you know what? I'm fucking glad. How stupid was I to go out looking for trouble like that. What good is going to come out of that? Revenge? I'm going to my name, my reputation is going to grow a little bit. There'll be some stories if it turns out good. Stupid. So what I did was I went from being in a defensive mode to actually being proactive. That's inconsistent with considering myself passive, which is my default. I learned, I'm at where I am now, and now I'd like to think that I would handle those situations differently. It's one thing to be ready. Hitting that pillow, man, next time, if someone tries to fuck with me and make me look bad and shove me or whatever, I'm going to pop them. I got them. But to go out and be proactive and actually want it to happen, now you cross the line and now you're not in a good place, Same thing with walking around with a fucking weapon on my foot in Savannah, Georgia. I see this all the time. On Instagram, I follow a lot of, or several pages that are brutal, that you have to get permission or ask permission to follow, whatever. A lot of them are gunshots, gunfights, scary shootings. I like to see how it really happens to compare that to what we see in fictional TV shows and movies. The way the body drops, the way that they pop out and surprise people, it's all different in real life. And anyway, I like to know that for educational purposes. But I've seen so many people, and these people too, they have a gun and they're just ready. They're just ready. Hey, someone fucks with me, boom. They're going to wish they hadn't. That's what I know. In their mind, they already have the problem solved before there's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
That's not very passive, but it's easy to fall into that. They do it with guns all the time. I remember one case. There's a father and son in one car, and then there's another car, and the son gets out, and this black dude gets out of the other car, and they're in each other's faces having words, arguing about who ran into who or whatever. And the dad says something from inside the car, and the son just sidesteps a little bit, and the dad shoots, kills the dude. And the thing was, it was so calculated. It seemed like they already had this move. Like they already knew, like, hey, if something happens, son, you get right there, block the window, I'll get the gun. And then when I say the word step aside, I'll shoot him from sitting right here. You could just tell. It was like they already had the machination in their head. And again, they've already got the problem solved. Well, I see a lot of road rage, and I watch those shows on TV besides Instagram. I watch Road Wars. I watch Road Rage. I love to see people that are just so angry they have to fight. And every one of them thinks that they're so tough. And every one of them has the solution. A lot of times the solution is in the trunk of the car. Boom, there'll be a little fender bender. You watch them like go right around, open up their trunk, reach it in, and they pull out. And they're going for something, their solution. Be it a machete, a baseball bat, fucking whatever it is, that they're thinking, if I get into a problem, boom, this is going to solve right here. I'm going to go for this. They are convinced that they're going to have this situation handled because they're ready with that violent thought right fucking there. And so what happens when they come out and they swing that one time and then fucking drop it? Oh shit, now their game is gone. Now what? Fuck. Maybe they shouldn't have had their head up their ass being ready for something to happen. Well, one, they weren't ready at all in the first place. And two, it could still be avoided. That's where being passive comes in. It's cool to be ready. It's cool to know that you feel comfortable as far as like chances are you could protect yourself. You could be safe. You still want to avoid it. You still want to be passive. It's still best if nobody gets hurt tonight. This might be a stranger to you. Might be your fault, might be his fault. This person might have a family. They might have kids waiting for them to come home. Well, right now, the person with the gun that just says, oh, I'm ready anytime right here. they don't even care about that. They want it to happen. They're manifesting themselves being challenged so that they can test themselves with the solution that they have. And so this is what I want to talk about is being passive. The same kid, Eric, what's Eric's last name? Army dude. I haven't talked to him in so long. Fuck. I'll remember it, Eric. Sorry, dude. But he's the one that got me in that altercation at the bar in Savannah when I'm walking around. That was our relationship. He was like a little brother to me. He would pick fights and say, "You got to fuck with my brother then if you want to mess with me." And I was a punk. You know, the most positive spin I can put on it is I was looking to learn, to test myself. I enjoyed the competition of competing with other people that were looking for competition. But that's all just a positive spin, shining up a really dirty thing that is violence, injury, anger. None of that is anything that I want to put up with or have with me right now. I'm in Savannah. I'm with that dude, the same dude, Eric, and we're at a different bar just a few blocks from there on a different night. And he has a problem with some guy named Josh. And I was by the door, and Eric comes over to get me, and he says, "Rob," he said, "I might need you to take care of something for me." And I look, and I'm drinking, and I'm, oh yeah, what, you got a problem? To this guy Josh, and I just remember, and it sticks out of my mind right now because I didn't necessarily want to hurt the guy. He seemed like a nice guy, and it brought out the passive side of me that I think we should long for to maintain. He's like, what? What are you, like some kind of badass or something? I go, I don't know. I mean, not really. I mean, if you want to find out, if you need to find out, we can go outside and find out, dude, if you really want to. But I wouldn't if I were you. And he's like, and then he's really curious, like, what? Why? What's that mean? Like, and I said, dude, nothing, dude. I mean, we can go find out. I'm just telling you, man. I know that I'm going to kick your ass. I eat Josh's for breakfast. I remember saying something almost exactly like that. Or I eat 3 Josh's for breakfast. Something really stupid like that, which is why I remember that his name is Josh, because that became an inside joke for me and Eric for a long time, eating Josh's for breakfast. But the guy, he was like thinking about it. He was curious, but he really wanted to know. And he was like, well, are you like a ninja, or are you some special special forces? And I was like, dude, like, Josh, you know what, bro, if you want to go out and test yourself against me, we could do it. I'm gonna hurt you. You're gonna wish you didn't. Otherwise, you should just shut the fuck up and leave right now. And the guy was just like, like he was really thinking about it. I was like, I mean, either way is cool with me, dude. And I wasn't as much of an asshole looking back at it, because that is totally the vibe that I had. It's up to you, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not going to take me long if you need to find out. But if I were you, I'd rather go home not bloody. And anyway, that was just one night that sticks out in my mind. We didn't fight. The guy, like the kid actually seemed cool. Maybe I would have been friends with him on another night, but he was just like, oh, okay, I guess I'm good, and he left. And but I wasn't bullshitting or talking up a storm. That was my level of confidence. That's how I felt, but I didn't feel proactive at all. I felt passive. I did feel like it'd be better if we didn't fight. And so, that's the other side to the coin that I'm remembering right now from my punk days. And I just want the Van Dam fam to keep this in mind, bro. It's one thing to be ready, and be prepared and make yourself feel safe. Put the odds in your corner. Make the chances that you're going to come out all right as high as you can. But don't go manifesting bad shit to happen. That's my advice to you.
I like it. Yes. I know. There's so many times where like something gets you angry or you're revved up, and then you're just like, all right, you envision what you want to have happen in your head. And like,
But there's consequences, there's jail time, there's lawsuits, there's injuries, not to mention it's easy as fuck to die. I've seen at least 4 or 5 different reports in the last year on people that got punched one time and went down and died. It happens from hitting their head on the sidewalk or from just being rocked from the punch. Either way, man, it's not like the movies. It's not like on TV. In real life, bro, learn as much as you can through other people's experiences. And if you can, learn through mine.
Yeah, there you go. Good advice, Rob. I like it. RVDology. It's a great stuff.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Word.
Yeah, guys. If you like
we learn from experience 2 ways: our own experience and someone else's experience. And it's up to you to decide when is when. Sometimes, hey, you just gotta try that. You know what I mean? Whatever it is, could be a person, could be doing something with somebody or whatever it is. You're the one in charge of that. That's what life is. You get to decide, am I going to learn from firsthand experience or secondhand experience, from someone telling me about it or reading a book or just learning from history, what happened when other people did this. That's it. You learn from experience. We build experience as we go. Let's stay on top of shit.
Stay on top of it. Stay on top of it. Guys, good advice. Even I'm Grown says, thank you, RVD. A lot of people would benefit from that advice, for sure. And then Seth says, hashtag Josh. Hashtag Josh.
I eat Josh's for breakfast, man.
You eat Josh's for breakfast?
I think that club was called the Zoo.
Oh.
Maybe. Or no, Zoo was behind it. Yeah, I don't know. One of the Savannah, there's a lot of, the whole downtown is bar after bar after bar. It's a whole big district. And that's, and there's Army, military there and shit. And there's, and yeah, when I look back at my mentality, my thoughts, my view on the world, my perspective when I was that young, God, I wouldn't want to go back in time for anything. I just feel like, common sense was still on its way.
Yeah, right. And you're always learning. That's the thing too, is I'll look back too, even 10 years ago and something like, oh man, I was such a fucking moron back then, even,
Yeah, well, that has a lot to do with, what we talk about with when next week, when we're going to talk about regret. You have to keep that in mind, that person that did that, or that didn't do that said that or didn't say that, whatever, that person that experienced that's not the same person that's right here right now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Over years, what you need in life changes, what you want in life, what you know about life, everything changes in time. And so, even if you're in a relationship with somebody and you're with them for 10 years, you got to take that into account too, instead of expecting everything to be just like what you talked about 10 years ago, because life happened.
Life happens. Yeah. Shit gets in the way. Things, change. It's anything. It's a lot.
Regret is not a healthy emotion. I'm looking forward to talking about it next week. Give yourself a break, give yourself a break, and we'll talk about it next week.
We were talking about this one last week. Somebody wanted Rob to cover regret about RVDology and his RVDology segment. And so, yeah, here you go, Rob. What do you got to say this week?
Yes, sir. All right. Well, spark them if you got them. Lighten up a fresh new doobie for this one. A lot of times I say I'm going to try and make this really quick. This one's probably not going to be really, really quick.
That's all right.
There's kind of a lot we can talk about when it comes to regret. A lot of us regret a lot of different things. We live with it, whether it's an action that we took that we wish we wouldn't have taken, whether it's the void of an action that we wish we would have taken and we didn't. We wish we wouldn't have said that. We wish we would have made more effort. Endless amount of reasons to feel regret. So, what is regret? Well, let's think about that. What is the difference between regretting something and being sorry? Katie, I've always thought had a really quick way of forgiving herself. She would whatever something, boom, boom, boom. She does something, she'll say sorry, and then that's supposed to be it. And I remember one time saying, "What does that mean? Like, if you say that doing the same thing 20 times in a day, are you really sorry? I mean, does sorry just mean, hey, I'm taking responsibility for it, so let's acknowledge that and move past that? Because not everyone's going to be able to do that. Or does sorry mean like I really deeply regret that I did that or that I said that and wish, I could go back in time and fucking not do it? Because that's a total different feeling than let's move past it. Sorry. When you think about it that way, regret has to be a little stronger than sorry. If you regret something, I think that means that you wish that this thing, this action didn't exist in your head, that this wouldn't have taken place, or like I said, or this void wouldn't have taken place if it was a non-action. So a lot of times it has to do with forgiving yourself, which I am not good at. I'm not good at forgiving myself. I think a lot of it comes from just being a perfectionist, wanting to improve so much that I hate my flaws. It drives me crazy. And it could be something stupid. I'm talking about Mayor LaGuardia and the LaGuardia Commission report, where he wanted to legalize marijuana way back in the day. And if I did something, and I think I might have said it was 1947, and then I looked it up because I was like, wait, was it the same year that Bugsy Siegel got shot? And then I look it up, and then it's really 44. And then I'm like, ooh, and I hate myself, and I can't forgive myself, and I beat myself up over it because I said that on someone's podcast or whatever. And now I'm like somebody that thinks they're a fucking smart, but they're really a dumbass. And now I think that I come across, at least to myself, as being pompous, out there like a know-it-all, spitting out shut when I should keep my fucking mouth shut because I obviously don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. That's how I am on myself. And sometimes it's bigger things, sometimes it's bigger. I one time got pulled over for speeding, and I had some marijuana in the car, and that set the course of the rest of my fucking career. That cost me the ECW championship, the WWE championship, tens of thousands of dollars, fines, and forever I would be associated with marijuana, which for a lot of people, they automatically then think that you're a stupid hippie with the munchies, and they can discredit anything you say. Do I regret having the weed? No. I regret speeding. I was so careless back then. I didn't pay attention how fast I was going back then. I never did. I could look down and be like, oh shit, I'm going 95 miles an hour and at 60. I better slow down. I was completely careless. And I was careless with the weed. I remember letting the weed, it was a little moist, letting it dry on the dash in the sun. And I wasn't even driving. It was Nick Patrick. And he was like, Rob, can you put that somewhere else maybe? I was like, no, dude, that's the perfect spot right there. The sun needs to hit it, needs to drop a little bit so we can break it up better. Again, careless, and also, again, selfish. Like I was saying before, not thinking about others in that way. That's the way that I used to be. I regret speeding. You know what? I was more careful and was speeding, you know what? I regret not just spraying the car with Ozium. We had it right there. As I'm pulling over, I didn't want to, I thought he's going to see me if I spray or whatever. And I'm like, Sabu, you know, I'm like, spray that Ozium. And so he's like trying to do it without, you know, looking, because they're watching us through the back window. Goes, shh, shh, and that's all he did. If he would have let out a good one, shh, I don't know, Ozium's pretty good. It might have killed the smell. We weren't smoking it. It was just so strong that he could smell it in the plastic bag in the center console. A good spray of Ozium, that might have fucking taken care of the problem. But we didn't think, you know, then that's going to seem suspicious, right? So what? Well, we could have said, hey, Sabu farted, so I sprayed it. We weren't prepared. We were careless. That's what happened, you know. Would I go back in time and change it? Fuck no, because then what about the rest of my life? You know, go back in time. That girl that I was talking about earlier, the Dennis Midian used to see before RVD came to Tampa. He was seeing this girl. And I think I knew that, or I knew they went out once or something. I don't know, but she's throwing it my way. I'm there to receive. I'm very young, very much a stupid, young, thoughtless. I don't know. I mean, a lot of girls would call someone a scumbag that just, when you're at that age and you try to just use people, try to bang as many girls as you can, try to get them to pay for the fucking dinner if you can. That's a big W. This was part of being at that stage in my career that I was going through. And I ended up living with the girl, moving in with her, and she caught feelings. Believe that? The motherfucker caught some feelings. I'm like, whoa, but I'm an asshole. Fucking everyone when you're at work. And we split up. We got back together. We split up, got back together. One of these times when we split up, she met somebody else. Now, her parents hated me because they knew I was no good for her. I'm 8.5 years younger than her. Well, 8 years. And at that age, like I said, where I'm just trying to get my dick wet, honesty, values like that I would one day learn to appreciate, hadn't crossed my mind yet. Sure, I was a good kid, but I wasn't the philosopher of RVDology that I am now. I had to learn to get where I'm at. So she meets this guy. They get engaged. Her parents love him. They're fucking perfect. He's going to take care of her. He's got money. They're going to be fucking great together. My ego couldn't handle that. Fuck that guy, man. He knew that I was seeing that. He was fucking working on that, and she knew what? He knew that she lived with me, or whatever it was. At that situation, I think she lived with me. We lived together, whatever the fuck. My ego couldn't handle it. I made her split up with him, get back together with me. And then, of course, it didn't last. And then her parents have to go through knowing that she just fucked up something good to get back with this scumbag. And shit, her old man passed away after that. And I was still a scumbag. I was a scumbag when she went to his funeral. And I was still in that, hey, single fucking weekend for me. Asshole. I regret being that person. Do I regret? Fuck yeah. I regret her not letting her and that dude just fucking live the life that they probably deserved to, that they could have had. I can't lose sleep over it. Would I go back in time to change it? No. I learned from it. I hate that version of me. I recognize that version of me in so many of my peers, especially in young men that are in their early 20s. Like I said, it was part of the stage of my career that I was at. Some people are still going through that. And, you know, your values change with experience and your perspective changes. It has to if you grow. But I look back, and that's something like, yeah, I regret fucking not just letting her and that dude and their families be happy together. But my ego wanted justice. Fuck that. Right. My evil ex. Um, I regret not telling her to fuck off. The very first date that I was with her, I had this car, and I remember when I went to pick her up, I went to get in the driver's side, and she was just standing there giving me this dirty look. I don't even know this bitch. Like, I just met her at the strip club that she was dancing at, and this is our first date, and she's looking at me, and I'm like, I don't know what's going on. So I open up my door, and she goes, and she rolls her eyes and gets in because she thought that I should go around and open up the door for her. This is the very first date, first time I'm picking her up. Why didn't I pay attention to all the warning signs and dump that bitch right then? Instead, I married her. Even though there was so much drama always, she never trusted me always. She fucking cheated on me always. Fucking lived by her own rules. And let me tell you something. I've gotten screwed over a lot, lost money, comic book store, fucking even making comics got screwed over by people, got screwed over by Tony Vela, my assistant. Fuck you, Tony Vela. Got screwed over by Justin and Jesse by paying themselves and lying to me about it the whole time we did the RVD CBD. And those motherfuckers, I had them at my wedding.
Wow.
Do I regret having them there? I mean, prospectively, yeah, I wish that wouldn't have happened, but I don't regret making the decision that I did, because when I'm committed all the way until I'm not committed anymore. So that means I respect my own name, my own self that much. If you got RVD on your team, well, I think that should come with certain perks until I'm not there anymore. If I suspect you're fucking me or you're not paying me quite enough or whatever, I'm not going to Tony Vela it and start stealing from you. No, for me, it's like, if you got me, boom, you got a fucking hard worker. You got someone that's going to give it all you got. Someone books me to wrestle, boom, fuck yeah, I'm going to fucking give it everything. I'm going to fucking, no problem, I'll do a shout out, a video for you. Fuck yeah, of course I'll tweet it. And you know what? I'll even like your posters on the future shows. I'm not there anymore because you brought me in as part of your team. I think that this should come with the package. And for me, that's why I don't regret that when I was with certain relationships, I still gave it my all, even though I was getting fucked in the ass, blindsided, and having people shred everything that I was earning. And let me tell you something. If you haven't been divorced, there's no deal unless you're getting physically paralyzed. There's no fucking over worse than a divorce, because these motherfuckers, after making the commitment to for the big lifelong plan, they spend all of your money and then charge you a tax for doing it. And then that tax is your future money that you got to pay them because they spent all of your money. And then with mine, although the fucked up law entitled her to so much, that wasn't enough. So she had to throw in a bunch of lies and make her side of the story an attack as well. So even if I thought we were going to amicably fucking go our separate ways, she thought otherwise. And so on the papers, I'm a drug addict, I'm a porn addict, et cetera, et cetera. It's been a long time since I've looked at the papers, but I think you get it. That's why she's my evil ex and always will be. Fuck the evil that you could do to somebody like that. After you spend all the money that they make, then You split everything with them and then get them to pay you on top of that for your future off of shit that they didn't even fucking make. It's a pretty fucked up situation. Do I regret it? Do I regret being married to her? Well, prospectively, like I said, I regret ever fucking letting her in my car. But overall, in the big picture, I wouldn't go back in time and change it. You know why? Because if I hadn't been with her, I wouldn't have the tools that I have today. I wouldn't know how to treat Katie and how to make a relationship actually work. I wouldn't know that without all the experience that I had before. And so when you have a hard time with regret, you have to know, man, things worked out the way they were supposed to. And even though that may seem a little bit cliche, possibly, depending on if you've heard this many times before or not, things happen for a reason. They fucking do. They fucking do. And if I hadn't gone through all the pain, even though it cost me everything, I basically set my life on fire and started over. I'm doing fucking fantastic. And this time around, I fucking am paying attention to what I love about life, what brings the quality of life up more. Not worried so much about compromising by doing things I don't want to do and giving more and more and trying to make shit work that ain't going to work, like putting a fucking square peg into a fucking round hole. It just ain't going to work if you got the wrong combination. So if you're dealing with regret and you want to know how you can deal with it, you have to really, I think, get with the plan of you wouldn't be where you're at right now. And you could be somewhere really much worse off. Sometimes you can see where you need to be. I know now that by staying completely committed and faithful to some nasty bitch that hated me when she totally wasn't ever to me, that proved to me that I have that inside of me. And if I respect myself enough and respect those values and want to fit those values of being honest, genuine, faithful, all that shit, I knew it'd be easy to fucking offer this upgraded package to Katie when I met her. I remember when Phelan and Augusta was getting married, and I was so young, and I was, but how do you know that you're never going to want to be with another girl again? He's like, oh, I love her. We have that relationship. But how do you know? He's like, well, but how do you know? He finally said, well, I guess you never do know. And I was like, fuck marriage. That's it. See, you don't know. How could you get married? Being older, being more experienced, having the bigger picture, those feelings did not stay at all. I know so much about me because of all the experience that I went through. All right. And it all had to happen in the way that it did, in order for everything to turn out the way that it did, in order for me to be right here, you know? So, hold on a second.
Yep.
I'm gonna see if I can bring myself to, yeah, let's do it. It's for the RVD fam, right? So, my dad's not around anymore. Today's Father's Day. All right, this one's going to hurt. So he had a stroke, and then like his left side of his body, he lost the use to. And so like his last several years, it was hard to understand what he was saying. He was always in therapy. He's in and out of the healthcare all the time. Like sometimes he gets to come home and then something happens and he falls. He goes back to the hospital. Boom, 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 boom. One of the times when he was home and I was there visiting, he and I were at the community swimming pool, which is good for somebody like that therapeutically because you weigh less in the swimming pool. And because of this, I kept I kept trying to get him to come out to the deeper side of the shallow end, because then he would be able to balance better, because he was in the shallow part. I kept saying, Dad, come out here. It'll be easier. You'll be lighter. You'll be able to balance more. And he wouldn't do it. And I didn't know why. I kept going out there, and okay, he's not following me. I go back over to him and talk, see if he get me to follow him over there. And he wasn't telling me why, but he wasn't coming over there. And I said, maybe if I just go over there and stand over there where it's a little bit deeper, just 20 feet away from him, maybe he'll follow me over there, while we're hanging out. So I go over there. My dad falls, and he's panicking, and he's got one arm doing the panic, going for air. And I have to close this distance now because I wasn't by him. By the time I got him and I grab him and I pull him up, he is very fucking traumatized. He thought he was going to die. You know what I mean? He's gasping for air. Dad, I was trying to get you going the deeper so you wouldn't do that. I find out he wasn't going over there in the deeper because the sun was shining over there. He wanted to be in the shade. I looked, he's right. I didn't even notice that, but this is shady and it's sunny over there. Okay, so now I get it. But now he his day is ruined. He's breathing hard. He's scared to fuck. I'm trying to calm him down, get him out of the pool and everything. Well, the next time he goes into the hospital, he never came back out. And he stayed in the system. I remember one of the times he was about to be released, but he couldn't because he had this scrape on his foot that got infected. And he got that at that moment in the pool. And so he couldn't be released because this was infected, and then he got MRSA. And then he had kidney disease and diabetes, all this shit going on with him. And, he didn't come back home, and he passed away in healthcare. So when I look at that, just that whole moment, which I probably never talked to anybody before about, but, I like being honest and genuine. Happy Father's Day, Dad. Man, I wish that I would have stayed close to him so that he wouldn't have had to have that really scary moment, scraped his foot, and I didn't get it. I just thought he doesn't understand. Like, he's not going to fall, but he's up in the deeper end, but he's going to fall where it's shallow. It's too, and I get it. The sun was bothering him. And anyway, I kind of regret that, making that choice to. And here's the thing. I think, and by the way, when he left, that during that day anyway, he said to me before this happened, while we were in the pool, he let me know he was ready to go. He's like, I wonder if it's worth it anymore. Dad, what do you mean? We love you. We need you. Him telling me that is what made it easier to deal with when he did pass. And he was not enjoying life when he passed. He was having a hard time breathing, all kinds of shit. So it made it a lot easier to know that he was going, just that he had his life, he was fulfilled, and he was ready to go. Man, without that, when it's something different, like getting my 4-year-old dog put to sleep so she get her teeth cleaned and then she just doesn't wake up. Something like that, it was so unexpected and surprising and painful. And then something else where it's like, I get it. In some ways I get where, he's ready. Totally different circumstances. And what I think is that people can look and say, well, Rob, don't blame yourself. It's a lot easier to do that talking about somebody else than it is yourself. So keep that in mind. If you're having a hard time forgiving yourself, think about what you might tell you if you weren't you and you were someone just listening to the story like y'all are right now of me telling my story. Forgive yourself the way that you think I should forgive myself. Yeah, that was rough.
Thanks for sharing that, Rob. Man,
Yeah.
that is tough.
Oof.
Yeah, man. No, and that's what the person asked last week was about losing somebody early and like not doing what they wanted or getting their moments with that person. I think it was, and so yeah. Oh man, Rob, thank you for sharing, man. It's tough stuff.
I tell a lot of my peers this when it comes to losing their parents, man, you got to be thankful that it happened in the right order because so many of my friends have made their parents fucking put them in the ground. And it's not supposed to go in that order. I always feel so bad for the parents having to do that to their children, bury them. It's not supposed to happen that way. I resent some of the actions that could have been avoidable when my friends are doing this. And so I find some gratification in that, in allowing the natural order to happen the way that it does.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, I'm sure you've heard it several ways too. And I mean, you're just, thinking for your dad's best efforts in that situation too. And, it's tough. Like anything that comes up, and you're like, oh, this could have been different or that could have been different. It's just like, it could have, but that's just the way things happen for a reason.
It never will be different.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Hey, what's the expression? God give me strength to have courage to change that which I can, and the wisdom to know when I can't. I think I left something out. Wisdom to know the difference. Give me the strength to make changes. Give me the strength to make changes, the courage to realize when I can, and the wisdom to know when I can't. I don't know. Whatever it is, you get it, right? I mean, you can't change it. You can't change it no matter how much you try to go back in time. So that is really not that healthy and productive of a thing to do, is to try to manifest the past to be different. So, if you can't find the W in today that was apparent because of the past, then just have faith that it's there whether you see it or not. Maybe you'll see it, maybe you're living it. But today's W's are all from everything that we've been through to get here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. You can feel regret, but like you don't regret what you're learning from those instances that come through.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh man. Guys, Seth wanted to chime in. He gave a $50. He said it hit me almost.
I knew fucking letting one roll would work.
Yeah. Yeah. Heck, you did a good job, man. It's tough to speak on,
This really, all right, synchronicity, right? I'm going right back to the fucking trailer that we're all dressing in Thailand. All right.
Okay.
Did I tell you that we were told the death was, or penalty was death?
Yes.
And we're still smoking. Like, Andrew's got this great story, Bernarski, when he scored the weed, because we scored it from the tuk-tuk drivers, from the bicycle taxis. Hey, you got the weed? They took him to like the middle of a downtown block. It was like a jungle in the middle, carved out from all the buildings, like a outside center. And they took him into this hut. And he said there was this dude that was like obviously like the ruler, the godfather, whatever, at a table. And he said all these weapons, axes and stuff were all placed with a rope around the top of the wall all the way around so they could grab it in a hurry or whatever. And he had to go through all of this just to buy some nasty ass fucking weed. But then once he did, he shared with me, and then I bought from the tuk-tuk drivers, but they had it on them. Anyway, the reason that I went back to there is that there was some really big dudes on that set. Tyler Maine, he's really tall. And another dude that's like 6'10". What's his name? He was in Land of a Thousand Corpses, the Rob Zombie movie.
Oh, let me look.
Played the really big, tall dude. He was in wrestling a little bit.
Is it Nathan Jones?
No. I can't remember this guy's name right now, but anyway, he was annoying to be around. I guess Tyler has a story where I passively told him, let's step offside the bus here and I'll show you how big I am right now. Cause I'm 6 foot and he was getting all cocky. I did a Bad News Brown like did to Andre the Giant one time. And I was like, let's step outside right here and we'll find out right now. And he's like, well, are you some kind of badass or something? Just like with Josh. I was like, let's just go out here. I'll show you. But he really was annoying. He was really, 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 really annoying. And one of the things that he said that was really annoying is he was talking about Michael Clark Duncan, who had just gotten an Oscar, I believe, for his role in The Green Mile. And he was trying to convince everyone that would listen to his stupid ass that it was just a big guy part and that anybody could have done that. And he said that the reason that he got the Oscar was because he cried. He was like, you know why I got that, right? You let one roll. That's it, man. You let one roll. That's all you got to do. And it was so annoying to deduce Michael Clark Duncan's acting performance and his body of work to just that. It was so annoying. But it was so relevant right now. We're talking about Thailand and talking about that. He was one of the ones that didn't like to smoke. And then here we are, fucking I let one roll and Seth dropped $50. So it was very relevant.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I guess he was right. Michael Clark Duncan couldn't act. He could have been him. He's like, why couldn't I have that part, man? I'm not afraid to cry in front of people. I fucking do. You know how much you got paid? Like, he's so annoying.
Well, is this the guy's name? Robert Allen Mukes.
Yes, his name. I always forget people when their name is Robert. I always do. For some reason, Katie always jokes and says that I think I could be the only Rob. For some reason, I'm like, as soon as someone tells me their name is Rob or Robert, I always fucking forget it. Robert Dukes. Pukes, we called him. Pukes. What's his name? What was his name? Dukes?
Robert Allen Mukes.
Mukes, yeah. I called him Pukes. Yeah, he had a good heart, but oh my God, so annoying. So
annoying. Jeez, Robert. Yeah, but Seth, he said, it hit me almost as hard as when you got pulled over. I quit watching wrestling until 2020. You're my hero, and I couldn't cope that happening to you. Things like that happened with my music career, too, and it changed everything. It's hard, man.
Yeah, so I would like to think overall in the big picture, I don't believe that I do live with regret. I can take that perspective, that's a strength that I wish a lot more people had because they're so non-empathetic because they can't even imagine being someone else's point of view when they're the ones fucking splashing a mud puddle at them and can't even imagine, like you wouldn't appreciate that if you're the other person. But I can always look at and take different angles of how I could see things and definitely, pick a part that's like, man, that's really too bad that happened instead of that. But overall, I don't live with regret. It comes from making the right decision the first time, a lot of experience, you fuck up a lot, and then eventually you learn when you're making these choices, you want to make the right choice so that you don't regret it. Take care of yourself by doing that ahead of time, by getting your RVDology, by using common sense, by learning what you can, doing whatever you can to help you make that right choice. And that totally 100% is the intention behind me doing these every week, is to use my experience, my values, and the things that I use to help me make the right decisions and share them with you.
This episode is sponsored by Blue Chew. Let's talk about sex, guys. Remember the days when you were always ready to go? Now you can increase your performance and get the extra confidence in bed. Listen up, BlueChew.com. Blue Chew is a unique online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra, Cialis, and Levitra, but in chewable tablets and at a fraction of the cost. You can take them anytime, day or night. so you can plan ahead or be ready whenever an opportunity arises. The process is simple. Sign up at bluechew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you receive prescription within days. The best part, it's all done online, so no visits to the doctor's office, no awkward conversations, and no waiting in the line at the pharmacy. Blue Chew tablets are made in the USA and prepared and shipped direct to your door in a discreet package. They always say first impressions are important. What about lasting impressions? Blue Chew wants to help you have better sex. Discover your options at bluechew.com. Chew it and do it. And we've got a special deal for our listeners. Try Blue Chew free when you use our promo code RVD at checkout. Just pay $5 shipping. That's bluechew.com, promo code RVD to receive your first month free. Visit Blue Chew for more details and important safety information. And we, RVD and I, thank Blue Chew for sponsoring the podcast.
So this is completely off the cuff, but a lot of it's not like I prepare anyway, so whatever. But so we're talking about altercations and how often do they happen that nobody knows about, that's not reported. I have been collecting a lot of stories for my autobiography, and I got like 40 stories or so, and I know nobody knows about any of them. And I'm still going, by the way, but that's what I've collected so far. And then there's going to be obvious stories that people want to hear about, specific times they remember and stuff. So I'm going to fill that in, and then I'm going to have this thing typed up. And, by next year, I'm going to be having this thing done. That's my goal. This story that I'm going to tell you hasn't been talked about publicly. It's too fucking current. This guy that I'm going to talk about, he's out there. Scott Norton. I'm going to tell you a story about Scott Norton. This is going to surprise you because nobody knows about this shit. But the thing with RVDology is not only applying my values, but I like to share when I learn these values and when they're asserted on a deeper level. And so I want to talk about passivism. Obviously, RVD is a passive guy. Am I too passive? Well, I mean, that's for whoever's judging me to say. But obviously, whatever I'm doing works for me. I eat a lot of shit sometimes. I do believe the nice guy finishes last. Is that part of my duty or my obligation because of my nature? Well, I feel like, yeah, partially because I've chosen to be passive. Thereby, it's part of my duty then to take some stuff, deflect what I can, absorb what I can. That's part of the deal. See, the opposite of being passive is being aggressive. And it doesn't take much aggressiveness to even move forward a little inch. There's standing your ground, and then there's aggressively moving forward. And then there's receding, which would be passive. A lot of us throughout life do any of those things at different times. So we have experience with that. Some people are aggressive all the time. That would not be correct to call me that. In fact, probably too passive. Once in a great while, I'll stand up. Like if I feel like at the airport, somebody like, dude, you closed the door to the gate 12 minutes early. What the fuck? You just gave the last announcement. Because I fly a lot and I know certain things about that. Katie hates it because she knows I'm usually so passive and so calm that if I just ask somebody something like that, she acts like I was screaming and biting their head off. Because to her, that's how that seemed, knowing me. When we're passive, sometimes we reflect back on it and we're like, did I do the right thing? Was I too passive? Like, hey, it might involve swallowing your pride. It might involve looking bad, losing some face,
Mm-hmm.
But in the end, when you got to consider what if, and you think, what if it would have went the other way? What if I would have acted differently? What could have happened then? What kind of damage could have been done? What good or bad would have come out of that? out of the results. So this is one of those times, and I got to talk fast so that I can go. But I'm just sharing this this thing because pretty important, memorable time for me in my travels. Um, WrestleMania is in New Orleans. I'm going to DDP's birthday bash at this club somewhere, and I have been drinking that night. Um, as I remember it, I go into the club and Dan Masters was with me and he was drinking and we split up right when we got into the club. I had forgot that Dan was even with me later on, but I'm by myself and I'm having a good time. I saw DDP, met his beautiful daughter for the first time. Boom, 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 bunch of stuff. And here's Scott Norton. He bounces at the bar. Well, I never met Scott before. So I'm I'm talking to Scott, shook his hand. Nice to meet you. Yeah, dude, you were in New Japan when I was in All Japan. That's cool, man. Always respected you, whatever. Boom, boom, boom. He's being cool. Like, yeah, man, I remember. Yeah, I know you're friends with so-and-so, blah, blah, blah. Crazy we haven't met in all these years. All of a sudden, his wife, for some reason, starts being the biggest cunt to me. I have no idea why. And I'm using that word correctly here because she goes, she interrupts what me and Scott are talking about to say, how's your wife? Did she die yet?
Whoa.
I'm like, excuse me? And she goes, did your wife die yet? And I'm like, no. And she's like, oh, I thought, okay. And I have no idea why, and I'm looking at him and I'm like so confused. And then, man, I'm talking to him and while my hand is I'm using my hands while I'm talking, I guess. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm like, dude, I don't know where it came, whatever, but my hand bumped her shoulder and she took that as an excuse to defend herself as if she was assaulted. So she started going like this and like pushing me and hitting me. I grab this bitch's wrist and I just turn it to the outside, a la Krav Maga, which twists her and brings her down to a submissive fold, shall we say. And then all of a sudden, Scott starts screaming at her, whatever her name is, I don't know, Michelle. And he grabbed her and said, come with me. And they left. I don't know what her name is. I don't think it's Michelle. Like I said, you heard right. what I called her.
Yeah.
Have no idea what happened. Went along with my night. Next day at WrestleCon, I'm at my table signing with fans, and Norton from far away goes, Rob, you and me ain't finished yet. And I said, anytime, Scott, I'm right here. He comes up to me and he goes, let's take a walk. We got to talk. Let's go. Went over there and he says, that's fucked up what happened last night. I said, I agree. That's fucked up what your wife did. And he said, my wife? She said, you were being an asshole. I said, when? When the fuck was I being? When did I even see her? The fuck are you talking about? And he said, she said that you were being an asshole, and she said your friend was being an asshole. Now, I had forgotten that I was with Dan Masters. And I was like, who? I don't even know who the fuck you're talking about. Anyway, trying to think of how this conversation ended. There wasn't much more to it than that. He was like, well, we're not done with this. I said, hey, I'm right here. Whatever, dude. And I shook his hand, stuck my hand out, shook his hand. Whatever.
Yeah.
Let him know I got no problem. He walked away. The next year, when WrestleCon and WrestleMania were in Dallas, right? Yes, because this was part of because this was part of a crazy weekend. So I forgot this just happened to be on that weekend too. He comes up to me again at WrestleCon and says, "Hey, we got, I'm paraphrasing, we got some unfinished business to do." I said, "Well, fucking let's do it." I went over and and it's like face to face and we're talking and he's being aggressive. If I was aggressive as him, if I had matched his aggression, no question about it, it would have been physical. I could have considered myself under attack just by how close that motherfucker was to my face. And I could tell he's used to being a bully. He's used to people being afraid of him. And I shouldn't say obviously, but let's just say I'm not afraid of him. It didn't seem like fighting was the right thing to do. It seemed like he was being a good husband, sticking up for his wife and believing her. So I thought about that, but at the same time, dude, what do you want to do about this? And I don't know what the fuck is going on. The second year in Dallas, we're both out by ourselves. I don't know if anybody saw us, but we're talking and it got pretty aggressive. He's saying this about, she said that your wife was being a dick earlier. I mean, she's saying, sorry, my wife is saying that your friend was being a dick earlier. And I said, I don't know who the fuck you're talking about. What friend, dude? And he said, she said you were there with a friend. I said, who? And he took his sunglasses and he put them up on top of his head. Mm-hmm. What's that mean? Are you trying to intimidate me, or you just want me to know, like, now you're serious? What's that mean, Scott? Put his glasses on top of his head. I kept mine right where they fucking were and looked at him. And he says, I said, I don't know who you're talking about. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And I have no idea why your wife started acting the way that she did. And he says, look, all of a sudden, when he saw that I'm not backing down and I don't give a fuck that you just took your glasses off. Yeah. I mean, he's in my face like this. He starts talking crazy. He says, look, he goes, ask Bubba about me. Ask Bubba Dudley about me. I said, why the fuck would I ask Bubba Dudley about you? He goes, no, you're right. You don't have to ask Bubba about me, but you should ask him about me. I go, Scott, why the fuck should I ask Bubba about you? You're right here. You're sounding fucking crazy to me. That's exactly what I told him.
Uh-huh.
How did this one end? I think he said to ask someone else about him too. Mm-hmm. And I was like, dude, what in the fuck are you talking about? I don't know how it ended exactly. We walked off. I shook his hand for the last time.
Yeah.
I'm not going to shake his hand a third time. Right. I shook his hand twice when that motherfucker came up. And Scott, if you're watching this, next time I see you, you can extend your hand, or I don't give a fuck. But I respected him enough to shake his hand twice because, like I said, he's being a good husband, sticking up for his wife. I still have no idea what the fuck happened. But after both times, afterwards, my feelings were in such a way, I had to question, was I too passive there? I mean, should I have just fucking clocked this motherfucker thinking that because people are afraid of him because back in the fucking 80s, people didn't know how to fight, so big guys could trample everybody. That was before MMA. And besides, that has nothing to do with me. And what is he, in his 70s? Anyway, all these factors together still made me think, if I wasn't passive, if I had just even matched his aggression, if I would have taken my shades off when he took his off, dude, we probably would have went at it. And although, honestly, of course, I don't know what would have happened, in my mind, some serious damage would have happened because that's not someone that just needs a smack in the face. That's not just a music guy that needs a smack to get woken up and straightened up. That's a guy that thinks that everybody else should bow down to him because he takes shits that are 150 pounds. Well, that's half of him. What's that say? So I did the right thing by being passive. And I haven't even talked about this. And this was just a couple of years ago. It's current. People don't know. I told Bubba, I went right up to Bubba and I repeated the entire conversation. And it was in front of people, and it was at WrestleMania. And I did it to be funny. So I remembered the whole conversation because it just happened. I went up to him and I'm like, dude, she said you were being a dick. No, when? I didn't even see her before. She said your friend was being a dick. Who? What friend? I don't know who you're talking about. Dude, ask Bubba about me. Dude, ask Bubba. Why would I do that? No, you're right. You don't have to ask Bubba, but you should ask Bubba. Why would I ask Bubba? You're right here. I was doing that to Bubba, and I was like being really physical. And I just thought it was funny to go up to him. I hadn't seen him in like 2 years. I had to go up to him and just start doing that. And he started like looking around and shit, because it was like, I think it was at the Hall of Fame, I think. And everyone was getting ready to go. And he said, Rob, I thought you were about to hit me. He said, I don't know what happened. I thought we were about to fight. And I was like, oh, I'm just being funny. This isn't funny. And he was just like, oh my God, Rob, like, what the fuck? What are you doing? But anyway, looking back at it, I'm glad that I was passive. And if he came up and wanted to shake my hand, I'd shake his hand, If he wanted to fight, I would definitely fight. If he feels like he doesn't like me calling his wife a cunt, she was a total cunt. And we can handle that however. But being the passive guy that I am, I wanted to share this story with you because I think everybody can relate to it, where sometimes they're like, am I eating too much shit? Like, am I letting them get with too much away? Should I be standing up for myself more? Am I, and the thing is, just imagine the consequences on if you would have went the other way. And imagine the most extreme consequences. And think about it. Like, if that would have been less than positive, not productive, then use that to help you to feel good about your decision. Because when I say I had damage on my mind, when I think about taking down someone that thinks they're a giant and thinks they're invincible, I feel like it takes a lot of injuring in order to convince that person, so they don't think you just got lucky. They need to be disassembled. So anyway, let's not talk about that because we are passive. And I know that a lot of people do like Scott that know him, and I don't know him. And at this point, I certainly don't want to know his cunt wife. But having said that, I chose to be passive, and the outcome was everyone's still here and healthy.
That's great. Rob, and you mentioned it like keeping your composure like that, and also factoring like what his mindset is going through is like, hey, he's just sticking up for his wife, he's being a good husband and stuff like that, and like you're just keeping your sunglasses on. It's like, it reminds me of the show I watched, Justified, it's called, with it's an Elmore Leonard book, guy from Detroit actually.
I love Elmore Leonard, dude. He's the best,
dude. Yes. Oh my God. Okay, we're gonna be talking about him again because he's my favorite of all time. Yeah. So he wrote this character, Raylan Givens, who's like a U.S. Marshal. And, there's a television show about it and stuff like that. But he gets into a lot of conflicts, like in a lot of these, one-on-one things. And how does he handle it? He keeps his cool. And, there's this one situation at a bar where, this guy's being a total dick. He comes over with 2 pitchers of bar and, just gives him, lays it out for him. Like, hey, have a good night, basically thing. Or he gives him an ultimatum for it. Or shit's going to go down otherwise. Something like that.
Right, yeah. Billy Jack. Billy Jack. Keep it cool.
Yeah, exactly. So it's to have that kind of it's super cool. Dealing with guys like that, obviously I haven't gotten to a lot of conflicts to that situation, but there gets to that point where you're like, what point is the threshold where I got to stick up for myself, where I got to say something in regards to this guy's or person's going a little bit too far.
Yeah, and everyone's threshold is different too.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And so, but to see somebody like that who's used to intimidating and scaring somebody and, having them back away, be like, okay, man, hey, whoa. It definitely, you have to keep the perspective of that all, and you handle it very well.
Well, he went back in the way. I don't remember how we ended. It was something like both times I shook his hand. It was like, whatever, Scott. All right. Obviously, there's a fucking misunderstanding here. It was that kind of thing. But yeah, dude, how about last week we talked about karma? Did that happen to come across and affect your week at all?
Well, yeah, it's like just factoring in with the ongoing situation I told you about too. It's like I really kept that in a lot of perspective about like, and just certain life situations where it's just like you think about like, oh man, I wish something like this would happen, or why is this person benefiting from it, or like anything like that. And it's just to keep that all in the back of your mind as the week goes on and stuff like that. It definitely helped me like think about that and just know it's like the universe works itself out and that's how it is, and it's like there's only a certain amount that I myself can control, and how I handle that moving forward goes against either my values or what I feel about, like if I were to go outside of that and try to be vindictive or try to be mean, or it creates that negativity out there. So it's very helpful. That's a big one for me.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
So.
Yeah, and that was about trusting karma instead of feeling like you got to get everybody back because they hurt you.
Right.
Karma will take care of both of you. Put good energy out there and have a good life.
Absolutely. Damn, Rob, we are going to talk about Elmore Leonard. That's awesome.